Hi comrades, happy Thursday. First things first, I'm sick as heck, so if I sound weird, that's why. If you're new here, I usually do horror movies, horror series, and horror book reviews on this channel, but today's video, or this video, because I think it's going to take me a little bit longer than one day to make this video, is going to be quite long, because in this video, I'm going to be watching and ranking every single one of A24 horror movies. And I made a little list, one second, of 22 movies on. I have 22 movies on this list. Oh my goodness, I'm out of breath. So the way that this video is going to work is I'm going to watch every single one of these movies. I've already seen a couple. I'm going to watch the movie and then tell you what I think, and then at the end of the video we're going to do a tier list of all the movies, and I'll tell you which one's the best, which one's the worst, and how they rank, basically. I'm going to start this video with the oldest movie, which is Under the Skin 2014, and end the movie with Men 2022, which just came out. Hopefully I'll be able to find it online, because otherwise the last movie I've seen of A24 Studios is X. I ended up watching Men in theaters. Wait to find out. Which just came out in 2022. But okay, so the first movie on my list that I actually just watched, or I just finished watching, is called Under the Skin. It's a 2014 horror movie starring Scarlett Johansson. It was freaking weird. It's about this like alien that takes shape of basically Scarlett Johansson. We don't even know her name. And she lures men with the promise of sex to her little cabin house, and then they like drown in this weird water, and then their insides dissipate and there's just skin left. And then at the end of the movie, some guy tries like raping her and then tears her skin, and she turns out to be an alien, like a black alien on the inside. And then he freaks out, runs away, and then comes back as she's like taking off her skin, lights her on fire, and she dies. Did you understand like any of the movie, Nick? No. It was quite boring. It was quite a boring movie. Next movie is called The Tusk. I've actually seen this movie a few times, and I'm pretty sure I've made 2 videos on it. It's a 2014 A24 horror movie. It's about a guy that gets kidnapped, and his kidnapper turns him into a walrus. And then at the end of the movie, he is mentally a walrus. It's a very gross, kind of funny movie. I don't know, not a lot of people enjoy it, but honestly, it's one of my favorites. Now I'm about to watch Life After Beth. It's 2014. It's also a 2014 horror movie. It's about a girl that is played by Aubrey Plaza, which is like one of my favorites. She did a really good job in Parks and Rec. And she basically gets resurrected. Or like she dies and gets resurrected, and she's like a zombie.
Resurrection! Okay, and that's better. Why? Why is that better?
It's from the Old Testament.
Why is all my stuff in boxes now?
And her boyfriend kind of wishes she stayed dead. And we're gonna find out how the movie is. So far, I mean, we watched the trailer for it and it seemed pretty funny, so I think I'm going to like this one. And also, did I mention Aubrey Plaza in it? So I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm going to like this one. So we're gonna watch it. It's only an hour and a half long, and then I'll let you know how it goes. Cheers. And then there's like a bajillion other movies that we're gonna watch through this weekend, so hope you stay around for that. Okay, see you soon. Okay, we just finished watching Life After Beth, and I think this has been the funnest movie today. The other movie that we watched was Under the Skin. That one sucked. The movie's basically about this girl named Beth that dies because she gets bit by a snake and then comes back. And then there's like a zombie apocalypse at the end of the movie. Do you have any favorite parts? Oh, well, she actually doesn't die. Her mom ties her to a stovetop oven and starts feeding her own hand, and then her boyfriend comes back and he's like, okay, we're gonna go on a hike. And he takes her on a hike, and then he shoots her, and then she rolls down a hill with the stove still strapped to her. He's great. He also had a brother, the boyfriend. What was his name? Zach? The brother was played by Matthew Gray Gubler from Criminal Minds. And he was kind of funny. He was like a nerd that his dream was to shoot people. And then when he finally got to shoot people because they were zombies, he was kind of sad about it, but good dream. Okay, I think that's all for today, and then I'm gonna pick up where I left off tomorrow with... On my list I have The Witch, but I've already seen this movie, so I'm just gonna summarize for you tomorrow, and then we're gonna watch Green Room. Cool, we're getting through the list pretty quickly. Okay, see you tomorrow. Hi Comrades, happy Friday. I'm feeling a little bit better today, which is good, I think. So I have a really long day of watching horror movies ahead of me, so why don't we just get started right away, right? So yesterday I watched Under the Skin, explained Tusk because I've already seen it. We watched Life After Beth, which was actually a really good movie. Next I have The Witch 2016. For some reason when I googled the movie, excuse my couch, for some reason when I googled the movie, it said that it came out in 2015, but on A24 site it literally says 2016. I don't know why that's something I'm adding in, but it was kind of weird, right? So I watched this movie back when it came out. I actually want to say it was like when I was first getting into horror movies, was back in that time, like 10 years ago. The movie was weird. It stars... What's her name? Anna Rose? She's like an eye actress. She like blinks, or she doesn't blink. She played in like Queen's Gambit or something. Basically about this family in the 1600s that gets banished from their little village in England. I don't know, or they're like new in America, something like that. I don't know. They get banished because of their religious practices, or because they were like, something happened basically. So they get banished from their like main place of living, and they have to go away from this main city, and they have like their own little village. Nothing grows. They have an older daughter, a son, and then twins. They also have like goats, whatever. Nothing grows, right? So when the big sister is playing with a baby, they also have a baby. When the big sister is playing with the baby, she's doing like little peekaboo, peekaboo, the baby disappears, like into the woods. Like she opens her eyes and it's gone. And then she is joking with her brother later on that she's the witch, and the twins overhear her and tell the parents that she's the witch. And basically over the course of the movie, the parents start blaming her for the fact that the land like doesn't grow any food because she's the witch. And then at the end of the movie, everybody dies basically because they get possessed by this like goat. I'm not very good at explaining this, but they have a goat. His name is Black Jonathan or something like that. Basically he has a name, and he's Lucifer. Did you know that goats have rectangular pupils? When I found this out like a couple years ago, it tripped me the frick out, which is like super weird. Like ours are circular, but theirs are rectangular. So basically that goat had the devil inside of it, and the goat convinces the main girl to go to the forest, and she sees like all these witches performing, what is it called, like a Sabbath. I don't know. They're like in a circle chanting and being naked, and she joins them. And after being accused of being a witch for so long, and her whole family basically dying, she finally becomes the witch, and it's called The Witch. It's a very artistic movie. They speak Old English. I think that's why it was kind of hard for me to understand what the frick was going on, because like English is not my first language, and Old English is very hard for me to understand. So yeah, that movie is pretty good. Like super artistic, a very A24 style. It was interesting. I would definitely rewatch it, but today is not that day for that. English. Next on my list I have The Green Room. It's another 2016 movie. I have no idea like what it's about. I don't know, I think it's like musicians or something, and they're in a room that's green, and then they start fighting each other. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna go watch it and then let you know how it goes. See you soon. Also, I'm gonna be making a cake today, so I'm very excited for that. So I just finished Green Room, and dare I say it started out really good but ended really poorly. So it's basically like a typical Get Out style thriller slash horror, because there's like some gore, about these musicians that basically sort of get kidnapped. Well, they didn't really get kidnapped, they get taken hostage because they witness a dead body, and then one of the girls witnesses the murder of her friend. So they try to get out. One guy gets his arm like cut off really bad, or like cut up because he was trying to get out, and then 2 people I think get killed because they have dogs that kill. I refuse to believe that there are dogs that are this evil. And then our good guys end up actually getting out because the last of them, the girl and the guy, they decide to play war, sort of. And the guy cuts his hair because they're in the green room, which is like where actors change. He cuts his hair, they paint like black stripes in their faces, and then they pretend like they're in an actual war, and then they win. And they take the bad guys hostage, and then they shoot them up, and then the main bad guy, he like turns around pretending like he's not scared, and they shoot him in the back, right in the spine. He should have like gone unconscious right away, I don't know, or at least like blown down or something, I don't know. Anyway, so they shoot him in the back, he keeps walking, they shoot him in the kneecap from the back, and he's still walking, and then he turns around and he has like blood spurting out. That's another thing about this movie, is that they had that stupid unrealistic looking blood splatter where if someone gets shot, it's like a little stream that's coming out, which is, I don't think that's how real bodies work, but okay. Anyways, so he turns around and he shoots them back, but he misses, goes into the garbage can, and then they're sitting there with a bunch of dead bodies in front of them on this like weird field or something, and one of the lost dogs comes by and lays by his old evil guy because dogs are cute. That was the movie. It started out really cool because there was like suspense and stuff. Oh, the good guys also found out that there was like heroin in the basement, and they were like dealers, or they were making it or something, and that's why the bad guys decided to just completely kill them all. And yeah, I don't know, it ended pretty stupidly. It was kind of like trying to be funny at the end, but it wasn't funny at all. Anyways, so next on my list is The Lobster 2016. I really hope I'm having I really hope I have these years correct, because if I don't, that'd be really sad. Although it's not really that big of a deal. Anyways, The Lobster. I think it's supposed to be like a thriller comedy slash dark comedy or something. I don't know, or like a funny horror. I saw a trailer for it. I saw the trailer for it in the theaters, I remember specifically. And I wanted to watch it, but then I never did because it was like kind of too artsy for me. But maybe it's good. So we're gonna watch it. I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, comrades. It's like 6:30 p.m. and I finally finished The Lobster. This movie was not horror like at all, but it was kind of weird and like unsettling and strange. It's basically about this guy that gets a divorce from his wife, and he goes to this like hotel facility where he has 45 days to find his other half, to find like a woman, a mate, whatever. And what's weird about the hotel is you can't choose to be bisexual, and you can't do like half of something. Like even when he asks for a shoe size, I think it was like 44 and a half, they gave him 45 because they don't have halves. And basically, if you don't find a lover in 45 days, they will turn you into an animal of your liking. And he chose the lobster because they live to 100 years old and stay fertile till they die, basically. The movie kind of takes a really weird turn when he gets out of the hotel, because he decides to basically fake a connection with one of these women by being like heartless like her, because that's how she was. And then she catches him crying because she killed his dog, so she figures out that they actually don't have a connection. And then he takes her to the room where they turn things into animals, and she basically gets turned into an animal, but we never really find out what animal she gets turned into. And then he joins this like weird force of people in the forest that are against they're called the loners, and they're like against the hotel and stuff. They have a rule that you can't like mate and you can't do anything like that. And then he obviously falls in love with one of the other girls, and then she gets blinded by the leader of the loners because they break the rule. And then at the end, it's basically sort of like happily ever after, but the lady is blind. Like, it was an interesting watch, but it didn't really like resonate with me. I really liked it in the beginning because of the narration, and like the acting was pretty good, but I think it's supposed to tell us something about our society, but I don't really quite know what. Okay, pal gals, I don't know why I was so stupid that day. The point of Lobster, well, like in the movie Lobster, the way that the mates get together, or the way that you're supposed to find your other half, is only based on super superficial characteristics that, like, of something you have in common, and that's the only thing that drives every relationship in their society. And then at the end of the movie, when the woman goes blind, who he loves, he decides to stab his eyes out too, because he still thinks that they need to have like a characteristic together, because before their characteristic that bonded them was being short-sighted, but now that she's blind, he decides to stab his eyes out. We never actually see him go through with it, but he probably did do it. Now that I'm saying it, I don't really understand how it goes back to our society, but that's the society of the movie. And if I had to watch this movie again, I probably wouldn't. Next on my list is a movie called The Monster. It's another 2016. Hopefully, I really hope I have these years right. It's another 2016 A24 horror movie. And I just watched the trailer, and I guess it's about these two girls that get stuck in a car, like on the way somewhere, because obviously, if you're a woman, your car will break in a horror movie, and there's like a monster in the dark or something, and they try to escape. Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. We're like getting through this list pretty quickly, I might say, because it's only day 2. I thought I would not be here by day 2. Alright, I'll let you know how The Monster is. Probably not good because the trailer seemed kind of lame. Okay, Comrades, I finished The Monster. It was a really stupid, dumb movie about a mom and a daughter who I thought were sisters in the first, like, half of the movie, but then we found out that her mom is actually an alcoholic, and they're going, like, on their way to drop the girl off at the dad's house, and they get in a car accident, and then there's this monster that doesn't have a name and doesn't have any powers. It's just, like, creepy, running around in the forest, which is the dumb part of the movie, because normally in good horror movies, monsters are explained, and they have, like, a story behind them, and they have a name, and they have, like, ways of killing them, but this one didn't really do anything except, like, kill. And then there was, like, they called the cops came with an ambulance, the monster killed the people right away, didn't touch the mom or the daughter yet, and then he attacked the mom still survived, and then they figured out that the monster is like afraid of light and fire, so they did the old trick where it's like, I'm gonna distract the monster and you run away. The daughter obviously didn't want to do it, but then she ended up doing it, and then she came back and started hitting the monster, and the monster killed her mom, and she was like really sad about it. And then the way that the girl defeated the monster was she basically blew fire at it by holding a lighter and then spraying some kind of spray thing that she found in the car. And then the monster died. And that was the whole movie. No, not really much of a plot or an actual story or anything. Not that interesting. Anyways, I'm gonna pick up where I left off tomorrow with the Blackcoat's daughter. And I'm pretty sure I've seen this movie already, so I'll just start watching it and then figure out if I need to watch it. Alright. This is actually movie number 9. Nice. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hi, comrades. Happy Saturday. I had a very long night last night, so I'm feeling a little bit poopy. But our journey must continue. And I think yesterday I ended it with the fact that I'm going to watch a movie that I think I've seen before, so I'm just going to start watching it and then see if I remember, like, the plot. And if I do, I'll just stop watching and tell you what the movie's about. It's called The Blackcoat's Daughter. I'm pretty sure, I'm like 80% sure I've seen this movie. But I've seen so many movies in my quote-unquote lifetime that, I don't know, they all kind of jumble together. And today I have a lot of plans because I'm supposed to go to a potluck tomorrow. I wanted to finish this stupid painting. Did I ever tell you I paint? Anyways, and then watch the bajillion other movies that I have on my list that I need to get through. Do you want to see it? Let me show you. Ta-da! That's it. And I need to finish it. And I haven't touched it. It's been like days, my dude. It's been days. But yeah. I look like a man. I'll let you know how it goes. Hopefully I will survive today. I will survive. I'm gonna live. Okay, so I've definitely seen this movie before. It's basically about this girl, and she gets possessed by this, like, I'm assuming it's like the devil or something. And she lives in this boarding school, and there's like this furnace in their basement that's constantly red, and I guess it's like the power of the devil or something. And then she ends up getting possessed. She kills like 3 people. She brings their heads to the furnace, and then she gets taken by this priest, and the priest gets the demon out of her, but she never wanted the demon out of her. And then skip forward 9 years later, she goes back to the boarding school, kills more people, brings their heads, but the furnace is now cold, therefore the demon devil thing is not there anymore, and she can't have it back. And she's sad and she cries on the road. And that's the movie. I remember it being not very scary. I guess it's kind of a little bit original or whatever, but once again, if I had to watch this movie again, I would not watch this movie again. As soon as I remembered what the plot was, immediate pause, because it wasn't that fun. Next movie on my list is called It Comes at Night, and I've definitely never seen this movie before. I think it's like 2017 or something, and I'm assuming it's about something that comes at night. It's probably gonna be a really dark movie, as in like dark setting constantly. I don't really like movies like that, but YOLO. Alright, I'll let you know how it goes. Hello, comrades. The movie It Comes at Night is, there's no monster per se, really. It's just like a disease that's killing people, and then there are 2 families that kind of get stuck together, or one family welcomes another family. And then it's like about trust and how one of the families kind of betrays the other family, and then they all get sick and die, and there are no survivors at all. Although there is like a scene where a dog runs off into the forest and you can hear like weird sounds, which kind of sounds like there is a monster or something, but there's no actual monster. And I also don't understand why the movie is called It Comes at Night, because I'm pretty sure the disease spread through like the water supply. So I don't know what the night really has to do with it, even though one of the characters kept having like nightmares at night, obviously, but I don't know, it didn't really make much sense to me, and it wasn't very scary, so. And look at that, we're getting through our list so fast. Next movie on my list is called The Killing of Sacred Deer, and I'm actually pretty excited for this movie because apparently it's supposed to be the best one on the list, and I don't really know what it's about, and I'm just gonna go blind into it, and I'll let you know how it goes. Okay guys, I just finished The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and the movie's freaking crazy. I think this is my favorite movie that I've seen in the last like 3 days. Also, I guess we're gonna be filming sideways today because I feel like that's how I've been filming this whole time. Anyways, this movie was more of like a psychological thriller, not really horror, but it did have some like elements of weirdness to it. So let me tell you what the movie is about. It's about this cardiologist dude, which is, by the way, played by the same actor as the main actor in The Lobster. This cardiologist dude, he ends up killing a patient, and the patient's son befriends him, or I guess he befriends the son to like kind of make up for it. And then and the son turns out to be a big freaking weirdo, so the dad kind of doesn't want to talk to him anymore. And then suddenly the doctor's actual son stops feeling his legs, And then the other guy comes and he's like, oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna have to kill one of your family members since you killed one of mine, or else they will all die. And they're going to die by losing feeling in their legs. They're going to stop eating, they're going to start bleeding out of their eyes, and then they're going to die. And it's going to happen to your son, your daughter, and your wife. Unless you kill one of them and then restore the balance or whatever, and then everything's going to be okay. So obviously the doctor doesn't really want to do that at first, and then by the end of the movie he ends up putting like, what are they called, like pillowcases on all of his family members' heads and putting them in the living room, and he puts a little mask on his face and he spins around the room like shooting at random places, hoping like to randomize who he's gonna kill. And then he ends up killing one of the family members, and that's the end of the movie basically. Everybody else stops being sick and the balance is restored. It was kind of weird, but I also enjoyed it. It had like a really good pace, and I've never seen anything with a premise like this before, TBH. I think next on my list is Hereditary, which I'm actually pretty excited about. I've seen this movie before and it's one of my favorites, but I wouldn't mind rewatching it again. If you don't know what the movie is about, have you been living under a rock? Because Hereditary is one of the like top classic movies nowadays. But I'm gonna rewatch it and then tell you all about it because it's one of my favorite movies. Today has been so long and I'm glad it's over. Okay, I'll see you later. I might watch some Hereditary now and then probably film tomorrow again. Peace. Hi Comrades, happy Sunday. Today is a good day. Although I look like a poo-poo, but at this point I feel like it's kind of on brand for me. So let's talk about Hereditary, okay? This movie is freaking crazy, and it's one of my favorites, and it's crazy. Did I say that before? It's about this family. They lose their grandmother. The mom, so, you know, hereditary means it's like passes on. She has a bunch of mental illnesses in her family. So the grandma dies. The mom is like kind of upset about it, but the one who takes it the hardest is the youngest daughter, Charlie. And she is a weirdo. She makes this weird clicking sound. She rips off heads of birds to make like these weird dolls. She draws like weird stuff. Later we find out that she's actually possessed. Sort of like when you start reading into the movie, she was possessed. The mom also has this weird like miniature house that she works on. Like she does miniatures for a living, I guess. And then it's supposed to be like a metaphor for how she's controlling the miniature house, but their house is also a miniature house, aka they're being controlled from the outside, and they're being controlled by this cult who is trying to get the demon that Charlie was possessed to possess her son, so that the demon would become alive because he needs a male body in order to come out, basically. So her son and Charlie, they go to this party because the mom, I guess, thinks it's just like a school gathering or something, and she makes him take his younger sister Charlie. She has a peanut allergy, which plays in later. He like goes out, he's like drinking with his friends, whatever. Charlie eats a cake, it has peanuts in it, so she starts having an allergic reaction. So the guy freaks out, puts her in the car, they start driving, she can't breathe, she rolls down the window, he sees a deer, he swerves, she's sticking her head out, and they hit a pole, and her head comes off. Also, this whole movie doesn't have any jump scares. Everything is kind of like built up, and it like makes you scared in a different way because there's no like relief of a jump scare, you know what I mean? But by the end of the movie, the dad gets burned because the mom throws Charlie's notebook in the fire and the dad catches on fire for some reason. And then the mom goes completely psychotic. She starts like running on walls, banging her head on the freaking ceiling because her son is freaking out and he's hiding in the attic. Because he's so scared, he decides to jump out of the window, and then he dies, and then he gets up because he's actually possessed by that demon thing, and then he goes to like the tree house that Charlie would normally hang out at, and then there's this sacrifice going on for this demon thing that the cult has been around forever. Oh, the grandma was in the cult. That's how this whole thing ties together. It's like hereditary, and the grandma was in the cult and she passed it on to them, basically. 10 out of 10 movie. I know I haven't been rating movies like this whole time, but this movie is good. I just know for a fact that when I'm doing my tier list later, this movie is going to be at the top. Next movie on my list that we're going to be watching is called Slice, not to be confused with Splice. I don't think these two are the same movies. I don't really know what the movie's about, but we shall see. I'll let you know how it goes. Hi, comrades. This movie was so freaking stupid, I wish I never watched it. It was kind of a waste of time. It started out really well, and it was supposed to be like a satire, funny movie, but none of the jokes were funny. None of the scares were interesting. The plot, I feel like, didn't even know where it was going itself. So by the end of the movie, it was really hard to understand what even happened. The movie's about this like killer in the town where there's like living people and then ghosts on the other side of the town, but they all kind of live together and communicate, I guess. And then somebody comes and starts killing the pizza people, delivery people, and the girlfriend of one of the guys decides to figure it out, like what's happening, and then she gets killed, she becomes a ghost. And then there's also a guy from Stranger Things, Steve, he is like this weird camera guy, but he doesn't even have any point to being in the movie. He's just kind of there, and he kind of feels like a cameo, but it didn't really make any sense for him being there. And then the movie ends with, like, I guess it was witches that killed people this whole time, and then there's like a werewolf guy that is played by Chance the Rapper, but I didn't even know it was Chance the Rapper until I started trying to figure out what the heck I just watched. I don't even know. I just want to forget about this movie. This movie was atrocious. Like, actually so bad. And I think next on my list is a movie called In Fabric. It's supposed to be about a killer red dress. So that kind of sounds fun. It gets really good ratings, so hopefully it'll be better than this one. Okay, comrades. Ew. I have not checked in a while because I was cooking and I was getting through my movie list. I am determined on finishing them all, and I'm actually almost there because some of the movies at the end over here, I've seen them. So this is going to be a breeze. So I think last time I checked in, I finished on In Fabric. That movie was a trip. It was so freaking weird and kind of funny. It's about this red dress that's basically a murderer, and it kills this lady, and then it kills the person. She's like washing her thing. The washing machine broke. So the repairman got the dress and he wore it. I think it was like as a joke. And then he ended up dying. And then the next person got it and their house set on fire, but the dress ended up surviving. And then at the end of the movie, the people that sold her the dress apparently was like only the one copy, and because the dress was bright red, the name for it was Artery, which comes in play now, because at the end of the movie, the people that sold it to her, they basically like made it out of their own blood, and it's like some kind of curse. Then I watched another movie. It's called The Hole in the Ground. This movie was kind of boring. It was about a hole in the ground where a boy goes missing and then he comes back, but the mom knows that it's not her son, and she kind of goes crazy, and then she does figure it out that it's not her son, and she goes in the hole, and then the monster takes her appearance down there, so she's like, what the frick? And then she hits it with a flashlight, which is kind of funny, and then she gets out, and it's a happy ending. That movie description was way shorter for, like, I'm looking at my time clock, and I literally barely said anything, but there's really not that much story that goes into The Hole in the Ground. It's just like a weird premise, and that's it. And right now, I actually already started watching Climax. This is number 16 on my list. This movie is about drugs. I don't really know like when the plot twist is going to start because we're 40 minutes in. And I read the description. It says, so it's like 18 different dancers in like this remote home practicing their routine, whatever. And this is their last day and they're having a little party. And I guess the sangria that someone made got spiked with LSD, but we're literally 38 minutes in and nothing has started yet, and there was like a long ass intro of interviews and then like 10 minutes of them just dancing. So yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. And then also a quick update, tomorrow I'm going to give you a description of Midsommar, The Lighthouse, Saint Maud, because I've seen all those movies. So, like, we're going to get through those. Then I'm going to watch False Positive, because I have never seen that movie. Then I'm going to give you a description of Lamb and X. Also, I've done movie reviews on Saint Maud, Lamb, and X, which I'll link somewhere that you can watch. And then, surprise, surprise, I bought movie tickets to watch the latest of A24 horror called Men. It literally just came out, and I'm gonna go watch it at 9:30 in the morning tomorrow. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Maybe if I finish Climax in the next hour, I'll be able to get through Climax, Midsommar, The Lighthouse, Saint Maud, and then start False Positive. Why am I losing my voice? Do you like my t-shirt? What the heck did I just watch? That was weird. They all started going crazy, and the movie, it's not very horror-y, but it's twisted in a way. I don't really know how to explain it. So I'll just start explaining the characters and what they were doing. So they all got spiked except this one girl who's pregnant, and that's why she didn't drink the sangria, because she's pregnant, and everyone starts blaming her for spiking the sangria, and then they start saying kill yourself and stuff because they're all high as fuck, and then she stabs herself in the stomach, and then she cuts her veins and is basically dead. There's another girl, she has her little son there, and as soon as she realizes that she started tripping, she sees him take a sip of the sangria, and instead of being with him this whole time, in some secluded room so that he doesn't die from being from tripping, she locks him in this electricity closet, and then she loses the key, and at the end of the movie the boy gets into the wires, and I think he dies because she keeps knocking on the door but he's not answering, and she kills herself right next to the door. And then one of the other girls, she's a cokehead, and her hair gets lit on fire, and at the end of the movie she's putting water on the back of her head, which is kind of funny. There was brother and sister, and brother has incesty vibes, so he was trying to take advantage of his sister while she's tripping balls, but at the end of the movie he says nothing happened, don't tell dad, which is just weird. Why would you ever want to do that to your sibling? But yeah, the movie basically ended with firefighters coming and seeing the mess that has happened. And I guess this director, what's his name? This director, Gaspar Noé, he did or I guess he always does movies where there's a lot of sex or whatever. And his intro was 10 minutes long, and then the opening credits didn't happen until an hour into the movie, and then the ending looped into the beginning, kind of, because in the beginning of the movie there's a girl that's crawling through the snow, and the movie kind of ends with the girl dead in the snow, so kind of like that. But yeah, this movie was kind of like a roller coaster, and then at the end we do find out who spiked the sangria, but I don't think I should tell you because it's really not that big of a deal, and they never really find out who spiked it anyways, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this movie was a freaking roller coaster. It was so weird, and honestly the end, the last 20% were all upside down. You could not tell what the frick was going on. I kind of skipped some parts because I was this has nothing to do with the plot. They're literally just having sex, all of them on the floor at the same time, and it doesn't add to the plot in any way. Now we're gonna talk about Midsommar. I know in my last videos I kept calling it Midsommar because that's literally what I thought it was called, but it's Midsommar, and it is directed by the guy that directed Hereditary, so that's how you know it's going to be on my top list later when I do the tier list. His name is Ari Aster, and Midsommar, 80% of the movie takes place during the day. It's about this girl, she just lost her family to this accident, so she's going through grief, and her boyfriend is going on this trip to Sweden or something to do his PhD study, or PhD thesis, so she kind of gets tagged along. So she kind of gets tagged along because he didn't want to break up with her. Well, he did want to break up with her, but then she lost her entire family, so he's okay, fine, I guess you can go. And a bunch of stuff unfolds. They community that they come to in Sweden. They have weird rituals, and they're kind of culty in a way. And they witness an old couple killing themselves because that's the circle of life, or at least that's how they see it. When you reach a certain age, you have to die to create room for like the younger generation. There's this big festival sort of where you're like the queen of summer or queen of something, and the main girl Danny, she becomes it because they are like really big on this tea thing. Oh yeah, this movie also has a bunch of drugs, and I remember when I was watching it, you could see like it was really cool how they did it. Like there's a scene and they're starting to get high, and you could see like flowers open and close because the movie has a lot of flowers in it. So that was like one of the cool parts, and like their eyes would be moving and you're like, okay, they're definitely tripping now. But yeah, at the end of the movie they basically make Danny this, well, she wins a contest where you drink that weird tea and you're high and you have to dance, and whoever dances last wins, and it's only for women, and she wins. So they put her on this pedestal, they cover her in flowers, and they like carry her around, and meanwhile her boyfriend is also getting drugged, and then he kind of, I guess he gets raped because this girl like really wants to have a kid with him, and he witnesses it, and then she basically says they okay to kill him, and they put him in a bear suit in the middle of a barn with all the dead bodies of all their friends, or like they were kind of like dummies, they kind of look like little dolls. They put him in the bear suit in the barn, and then they burn it, and I guess Danny stays with them forever. The movie's also a trip, and it's one of my favorites. I've seen it like a bajillion times already. Next we have The Lighthouse, and this movie has Robert Pattinson in it, and that's kind of the reason why I watched it. But I wouldn't really call this movie so much horror, but more like psychological drama. Not even a thriller, it was like a drama. The guy, he works at a lighthouse. He's like there, like sort of like a cleaner, and the other guy, basically they get stuck at this lighthouse by like the middle of the movie, and there's like a big storm. They don't have enough rations, so they end up just drinking themselves until they go insane, basically. William's character and Robert's character kind of going through like these waves of being either super friendly or super hostile against each other, because Robert Pattinson's character is there to just kind of help, and he wants to like be more serious, and also William's character never lets him into the actual lighthouse area, so Robert's character like really wants to go there, but it's like they have like this weird, the movie makes you uncomfy. At the end of the movie, Howard, that was Robert Pattinson's character, he finally goes into the living room, they get like into a fight, and then the main guy, Wake, I think that was his name, he like falls down and dies. The movie has a lot of metaphors to it, I feel like, but I personally didn't really get it, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. I actually found it quite boring. But I don't know, a lot of people would disagree with me, I feel like, because I've seen some reviews where they're like, oh, this movie's so good, but low-key, I just couldn't understand it. Maybe it's just the black and white that threw me off. I need visual stimulation to pay attention. Now we're gonna talk about Saint Maud. I've also done a review of this movie too, probably about a year ago, whenever it came out. This movie's about this nurse that's also like a nun or whatever. She's super religious, and she caters to this woman that has cancer, and she makes it her goal to make the cancer lady believe in God. But then over the time period, the nun gets possessed, and then she kills the cancer lady because she's like so angry because the cancer lady keeps making fun of her faith. And then that's the movie. Once again, really short description for me. Good job, Christina. I am so good at describing these things. One thing I do really remember from this movie is that it had a really good upside down floating scene. And if you know me, you know I love those. Like whenever someone is possessed, they like float upside down, like all bent. Love that. It's like one of my favorite horror movie tropes. It's like a possessed person that's floating upside down. And we're almost there. We're at the finish line, basically. I'm gonna watch the movie called False Positive. I actually have no idea what this movie's about. Just like most of these movies. I mean, look at this. Look at how many movies I've watched in the last 3 freaking days. False Positive. I don't know. It's probably gonna be about somebody that is presumably sick, but they're not actually sick, and they get like shunned or something. Or maybe it's gonna be about like pregnancy or something. I don't know. Who knows? I'll let you know how it goes. Hi, Comrades. Happy Monday. It's like 8 p.m. already, but I promise I did not just wake up, even though I did. I actually woke up like at 9 o'clock to go watch Men, which you're gonna see the footage of later. It was something that I shouldn't have watched on a Monday morning, first thing Monday morning, but whatever. Then I came home. I finished watching False Positive, so I'm going to tell you about it right now. And then I passed out and I slept for 5 hours. So that was a nice little nap. Also, if I put a shirt on, these will look like boobs. So yeah, I'm going to tell you about False Positive, then I'll tell you about Lamb, X, and then you'll see footage from Men, and then we're going to do a tier list. So let's get started, shall we? Because it's already 8 p.m. and I really want to get this video out. So, False Positive. It's a movie about a couple that's trying to get pregnant. They can't get pregnant, so they go to a doctor. This doctor does like the it's like insemination, whatever, and she gets pregnant, right? But she gets pregnant with twins and a girl, so there's 3 kids. So the couple has to make a choice if they want to abort the twins or abort the one girl, because they're not sharing sex, so it'd be either one or the other, because 3 children is like, there's like too many risks. That's how the doctor says it. When she gets pregnant, she's kind of going crazy. It kind of has like Rosemary's Babies vibes at first, and then the movie gets really, really bad. I've noticed that a lot of these movies on this list were really good at first and then kind of took a turn for the worst. Anyways, she gives birth. Oh, so they decided to keep the girl, right? Like the woman she really, really wanted, the girl, her name was supposed to be Wendy. She gives birth. It's twins. She's like, what the frick? And then she realizes that her husband and the doctor are both on it, and they both knew that she was going to give birth to the twins, and they actually aborted the baby girl, even though the woman wanted to keep the girl. But I guess a woman's choice doesn't really matter in these kinds of things. So she goes all psychotic. She goes back to the like medical little facility. She confronts the doctor, and the doctor is like, I promised I would get you pregnant, so I used the best sperm, my own. And you're like, what in the Our Father is this? If you've seen that show or that documentary on Netflix, it's called Our Father, it's mind-boggling. It's about this guy that inseminated a bunch of women and had like 100 children in the same area because he was a doctor and they needed to get pregnant, so he just used his own sperm like a freaking psycho. She goes all crazy. She goes home. She picks up twins. I think she was gonna throw them out the window, but the husband comes. She's like all covered in blood, right? Because she attacked the doctor, she attacked the nurse. She gives the dad the twins. She's like, you're gonna need to go right now. Like right now. She kicks him out, I guess. And then when she went to the doctor, she picked up her aborted baby because, so they like kill it in womb, but it stays in the sac. And then when she gave birth to the twins, she gave birth to the dead little fetus too, which is like only a couple of weeks old, but I mean it was like this big. I don't know, it like had like arms and legs and stuff. And she puts it to her boob and it starts sucking it, so it was live after all. But yeah, she like throughout the movie she thought she was a part of some kind of weird experiment, but I'm pretty sure she was just going crazy, TBH. She found like files, but turns out that her husband never even had a safe in his office. So the movie doesn't really ever make it clear if she was going crazy or the crazy was being done to her. Either way, it was kind of fucked up how the doctor and the dad decided that she's going to have the twins instead of the girl that she wanted. And that was the end of the movie. It was interesting at first, and then I was like, what is this? Because I was really hoping it would be like Rosemary's Baby and she would give birth to like the devil or something, but nope, just 2 healthy boys. Okay, now we're going to talk about Lamb. I actually watched this movie in theaters with my brother and we made a video about it. Here's the link somewhere on the side. It's about this couple that also really want a baby, but for some reason they can't. Although I don't even remember if they were trying to have a baby. Whatever. They live on this farm in, I think it's Sweden or something, because it's in another language and there's subtitles. Their goat or their lamb gives birth to a half lamb, half baby. The top part is lamb, the bottom part is baby. So you're like, did the dad have sex with the goat? But no, he didn't. And then throughout the movie, it's basically them trying to raise it as human. And then the dad's brother comes and they kind of have to explain the whole shebang. Like, we have a lamb baby and you're just gonna have to act like it's normal. And then the brother decides to like try to kill the lamb, but he doesn't. And then the dad and the lamb go on like a little walk or something, and the dad gets attacked by this bigger lamb, which is, I guess, the real dad of the baby lamb. He gets killed and and the baby lamb gets taken away, and you see like a shot of them walking away. And then the mom freaks out because she finds that she hears the gunshot like somewhere in the fields. She finds the body, and the baby lamb is gone, so she's like frantic and she doesn't know what to do. The movie is it's not very scary, but it is quite unsettling, and the way that the story unfolds, you're just like, what the frick is going on? But also, it wasn't that surprising. Like, really? I don't know. I mean, at first, they didn't really show what the lamb gave birth to. They were just like, kind of like, oh. And then after a while, they gave us a shot of the whole picture. Now we're gonna talk about X. I actually watched X in theaters also, and then I made a video with my two friends Tracy and Eric about the movie, kind of like a review / reaction, and this one is actually one of my favorites on this list. It's about these friends. It's like taking place in like 1980s maybe. I don't really know. I don't really quite remember, but they go to this remote home to make porn because they want to be stars, so they just start filming their thing, whatever. The land, or like the home, is actually owned by this old couple. They're super freaking weird. The grandma sees that they're making porn in the window, so she decides to start killing each of them because porn is no good. You're not supposed to do that. She also has this really weird obsession with the main girl. She like tries touching her and kissing her, and then when she's like sleeping and her guy dies in the woods because he goes to look for the grandma and the grandpa, they work together. So the grandpa's like, oh, she's missing, like, come help me look, and then kills one of them. Anyways, the grandma gets in the bed with the main girl, like bloody and naked, and just lays there being all freaking creepy. The movie itself is actually really fun. It has its twists and turns. It's quite unpredictable. It has really good cinematography, and it's actually like a breath of fresh air, dare I say that, because I've never seen a movie like that before. Like, this one was really interesting. If you're interested in any of these movies on the list, I don't even know how to put it, this is the movie to watch, basically. But yeah, at the end of the movie, she gets out, and then she turns out to be a pastor's daughter that the grandma has been watching and like obsessing over and being like, haha, religion, and she was actually the pastor's daughter. But yeah, she gets out, and then the cops can't come, and it's like a huge massacre, and it's actually the opening scene of the cops coming to the house and it all being bloody and a bunch of bodies everywhere. It's like a slasher movie. I actually think this is the only slasher movie on this whole list, huh? How interesting. And it's one of my favorites. Not surprised. Okay, now you're gonna see footage from earlier today where I talk about men, and then we're gonna do the tier list finally. Hi, comrades. It's Monday. It's not even noon yet. We went to watch Men in theaters. I think it started like 9:30 or like 10 because of the commercials. And it's one of the grossest movies I've seen in a long time. And it was weird and disgusting, and I shouldn't have watched it. And now Nick hates me because I made him watch it. Let me tell you what it's about, okay? Because it literally, like, basically made no sense. And there's not really a story or, like, an explanation. Or... yeah, that's the biggest part, is that there's no explanation to what the frick is going on. So there's this woman. She's a widow / divorced. Her backstory is that she was trying to divorce her husband, but he threatened to kill himself, and then he did. And she's like blaming herself, and now she goes to this like remote cottage house. She rents it for 2 weeks, and there are only men in the village. I mean, it's not really like a village, it's like a little community. And then after a while, well, actually like on day 2, she sees a naked man in her garden, and she calls the police. The police come, arrest him, but then they end up letting him go. And then when you watch like the movie, you start realizing that all the men, the guy in the garden, the priest, there's also a little boy that has like a CGI face because I think they try to put the other people's face on it. Anyways, they all have the same face. They're like all the same person. The policeman, the guy in the garden, the little boy. There's also a priest that's like weirdly rapey. So one of the weird men, like, they kind of start blending in together. Oh, there's also like a weird gardener that just like screams and yells. They stick in their arm into her door mail slot and she stabs it, and they basically cut it in half, like this way. And then whenever she sees the other, like when the priest comes to her house, tries to break in to like do weird sex stuff to her, he has the weird arm too. And then the boy breaks in, he has the weird arm too. And then at the end of the movie, this is where the story lost me, and this is the part that I wish I never watched. The guy from the garden, he's like covered in leaves, right? I mean, obviously there's some kind of like weird demonic ritualistic freaking weird stuff going on, because the church that she went to didn't really look like a Christian church. I mean, it was a Christian church, like it had the stained glass windows and everything, but it had like a weird altar with like a weird ass demonic face on it. So I guess that's where it all comes from. But anyways, the guy from the garden, he comes to attack her again because she was trying to leave. She got in her car and she ran over this guy Jeffrey, the one that rented her the house, that also ends up having the same face. And it's actually really good because whoever was like in charge of makeup did a really good job making them each a distinguishable character, because at first they don't really look the same, but then they kind of start looking the same because you're like getting used to their faces. Anyways, so this guy Jeffrey, he's standing in the middle of the road as she's trying to leave, and she runs him over and she's like, oh no, Jeffrey. She opens the door, she's freaking stupid. He drags her out and then starts chasing her in the car, like she's like running around and he's trying to run her over. And then she ends up going in the house, and then because she ran him over, he has a broken leg now too. So he becomes the guy from the garden, and he's like naked and he's covered in leaves and he's pregnant and he gives birth because he has a penis and a vagina. And it's literally like you watch the whole thing just happen close up. Comes out. The baby is like the boy, and they're like full sized. And he has a broken leg too, and like that weird arm slash that she did earlier. And then he's pregnant too, and he gives birth to, I think it was the priest, and then the priest gives birth to Jeffrey, but he gives birth like from his neck. He has a vagina on his neck, and it's like so gross and disgusting. I really shouldn't have watched that because it's just so unnecessary. And then she ends up getting out because her friend comes with the car, and also her friend is pregnant. I don't know, maybe it ties into the story somehow. My silly little brain can't understand things like that. But yeah, I shouldn't have watched it at 9:30 in the morning, that's for sure, on a nice Monday morning. Happy Memorial Day, guys. This is definitely going to be very memorable for me. And did I mention Nick is mad at me because I made him watch that? Even though I'm filming this before, I think this is going to be like the end of my video because Men is the last movie on the list. Oh, we're gonna do the tier list now. Hi, comrades. We are finally in the movie tier list part of the video. It's been like 5 days since I started making this video. As you can see, I'm up here. Hello. Now we have, this is how I decided to split the tier list. Top is going to be personal faves, then a fun ride, artsy confusion, what the F did I just watch, and brain numbingly boring. And it's supposed to go from best to worst. That's kind of the idea, but I decided to name, actually I don't need headphones. I decided to name each of the tiers just to explain myself a little bit better, okay? Let's do brain numbingly boring first. Green Room, because honestly I shouldn't have watched that movie because it was so freaking stupid. Slice was also a very stupid movie. Dun, 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 dun. Is that all? Oh, also the one with the mom. I think it was the monster, this one. This one's gonna go into the Bring Them Really Boring too. Now let's do what the F did I just watch? It's going to definitely be Men because of the ending. It's going to be Climax because of just how weird the entire movie is. Although I did enjoy it. So, but I wouldn't watch it again, TBH. Lighthouse. Actually, Lighthouse should be an artsy confusion, I think. Yeah, we're gonna put it in the RC Confusion. RC Confusion is also gonna be this one in the skin. I think that's what it was called. And False Positive is gonna go into the What the F Did I Just Watch. Now let's do the fun ride, okay? Life After Beth, 100% a fun ride. In Fabric, 100% a fun ride. Lobster, fun ride. Actually, no, that's not the Lobster. That's the Killing of a Sacred Deer. But also Lobster, a fun ride. It Comes in the Dark, a fun ride. The Hole in the Ground, boring. Lamb is RC Confusion. The movie was good, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned I watched it in theaters. But TBH, it didn't really make that much sense. Saint Maud was a fun ride. Tusk, definitely a fun ride. Tusk is one of my favorite movies. The Witch, I'm gonna put an RC Confusion. Even though the movie was like horror-y and scary and kind of good, it left me confused. And this one, what is this? Blackcoat's Daughter. I don't know if I should put it in boring or fun ride, because it was kind of both. I'll put it a fun ride, because I would watch this movie again. And just like that, we're left with my personal faves. X is going to go first, because this one is hands down my favorite, because it's a slasher and it was amazing. Then it's going to be Hereditary. Also, a really brilliant movie. And then Midsommar. Gentlemen. And just like that, Comrades, we have our A24 horror movie tier list. That was quick. I guess I should do my outro like this, huh? Thank you so much for watching this a really long video that took me like 5 days to film and then edit. But yeah, this one was definitely not very easy to get through, because pretend they're all crossed off, okay? Because I watched them all. I just stopped crossing them off. But it was fun, and I'd be down to do it again. So if you have any recommendations of movie lists I should watch, I'm totally down to do it and watch a bunch of movies in one sitting, because I would like to start doing more long format type content, and I think this is a good way to start. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, I really hope you give it a like and subscribe for more horror stuff, because I post new videos at least once a week. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye, Comrades.